Do I Know You? Chapter 1. The Office. Sen woke up feeling much the same as the day before. He went through his morning routine, showering, getting dressed, and eating breakfast. He made a mental note to call his father later to wish him a happy birthday. As he headed to the office, the streets seemed quieter than usual. The sky looked greyer, and the sound of his footsteps seemed muffled. When he arrived, he sat down at his cubicle and began to sift through his emails. At 9:12, his phone rang. The caller ID read John K., his longtime friend and co-worker. "Hey, John," Sen answered. There was a silence. Just a moment, but noticeable. "Sen, my man, how's it going?" John's voice boomed through the speaker. "Same as usual, just going through my emails," Sen replied. That's good. Listen, I wanted to talk to you about something." "What is it?" Sen felt slightly uneasy, but he didn't know why. "I've been getting these emails. It's a bit odd," John said. "They're from an address I've never seen before, and the messages are all gibberish. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now." Sen frowned. "That is odd. Have you tried contacting IT?" "Yeah, they said they'll take a look at it, but nothing's been resolved yet. Listen, I don't know why, but I thought maybe you could come to my office and take a look sometime. You know more about this sort of thing than I do." "Of course, John," Sen said. "But you can forward them on to me instead, if it makes it easier." "I don't really have the time. If you could come to my office, it would really help. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. See you later." The phone clicked and John was gone. Sen stared at the receiver for a few seconds, then slowly put it down. The morning inched by. He tried to focus on his work, but he found himself distracted. The work piled up, and soon he was bogged down in filing and remote meetings. In the end, he didn't find time to visit John's office. However, Sen spent some of the morning sporadically checking his own emails and messages for any signs of unusual activity. He didn't find any. By the time he left the office, Sen felt exhausted. He walked home in a daze, barely registering the familiar sights and sounds around him. When he arrived at his apartment, he collapsed onto the couch and closed his eyes, trying to put thoughts of spreadsheets, emails, and strange conversations out of his mind. The apartment was silent. Chapter 2. The Phone Call. The weekend couldn't come fast enough for Sen. He spent most of his Saturday running errands and doing chores, trying to keep his mind off work. As he settled in to watch a movie that evening, his phone buzzed. It was a text message from his mother reminding him to wish his father a happy birthday. Didn't I do that already? A few days ago? At reading the words, Sen's head felt fuzzy. He simply couldn't remember. Then, almost as soon as he put his phone down, it rang loudly. He picked it up without looking at the caller ID. "Hello?" he answered. Silence on the other end. "Hello? Who's there?" "Sen," a voice finally responded. "Yes, that's me," Sen replied. "Sorry, wrong number," the woman said, and hung up abruptly. Sen frowned, wondering who it could have been. He didn't recognize the voice. The caller obviously knew Sen. She spoke his name. Looking at the caller ID, he saw an out-of-state number that he didn't recognize. Sen pressed callback and put the phone to his ear. Only a dial tone sounded. Then an automated voice.
"Sorry, the number you have dialed has not been recognized. Please hang up and try again."
He decided to block the number. More than likely it was just a scammer who had fished his details somehow. After he was finished deleting the call history, he thought the matter closed. But still, he couldn't quite relax. The next day, Sen decided to take a walk. Each day, the streets seemed more and more quiet, as though people were filtering out away from the city and not returning. Sen decided to take a detour from his usual route into town. He headed west up the high road and towards the park. He turned onto the dirt path leading to the recreational grounds and passed through the wrought iron gate entrance to the playing fields. Across from where he stood, and adjacent to a trash can, was a woman Sen instantly recognised. She was sitting on a bench, staring off into the distance. Sen had seen her the previous day, coming out of a local bank. He had only really noticed her because of the red suede jacket she was wearing. It stood out so keenly against the grey morning. Sen tried to walk past her without drawing attention, but as he got closer, he felt her eyes on him. He turned to look at her, and she met his gaze. For a moment, they just looked at each other. There was something off about her. The red jacket was slightly tarnished. Suddenly she stood up, so quickly Sen could feel himself flinch in surprise. She turned just as swiftly and walked off across the park. Sen watched her go for a few seconds. He couldn't quite explain why she made him feel so uneasy, but he knew he didn't want to run into her again. Chapter 3. John. Sen woke up early on Monday morning, feeling unrested. He had spent most of the night tossing and turning. He dragged himself out of bed and got ready for work. After breakfast, he washed the dishes and put the milk back into the fridge. As he closed the door, he saw a green note stuck to it by a small smiley face magnet, a reminder that today was his father's birthday and he should call him. He checked the date, 9th of February, written in green ink, his own handwriting. This was today's date. Sen looked back over his recent call history. He was sure he had called his father days ago, but he couldn't remember the actual conversation. But he was certain there had been one. As he was about to leave, his phone rang again. This time he recognized the number. "Hello?" he answered. His voice faltered. "Sen, it's John," the voice on the other end said. "Oh, hey John," Sen said, relieved. "What's up?" "I'm sorry to bother you so early, but I need your help with something," John said. "What is it?" Sen asked, trying to keep the wobble from his voice. "It's hard to explain over the phone. I need you to come to my office. It's urgent." Sen hesitated for a moment. Yeah, of course, John. I was just getting ready to leave anyway." "Good." The call abruptly ended. Sen stepped out of his front door and onto the city streets. Silence. Not a soul in any direction. This was rush hour. The streets should be teeming with commuters, busily rushing to the tube station, kids on their way to school, and cars thundering down the highway. Sen checked his phone again. Did he get the day wrong? "This is Monday morning, isn't it?" he thought to himself as he loaded his calendar. He'd been feeling a little out of sorts lately, but he knew which day of the week it was, surely. Sen mechanically put one foot in front of the other, head reeling. He had to get to the office. He started at 9 o'clock, and besides, John was expecting him. He passed the post office, barbers, bus terminus. Not a single other person. A mild breeze blowing through the plane trees that lined the main road, the only sound to accompany his methodical footsteps. However, Sen couldn't help but feel he was being watched. He kept glancing over his shoulder, but still, he was utterly alone. When he finally arrived at the office, he made his way through reception. Empty seats positioned in front of blank computer monitors was all that greeted him. He moved past the canteen and up the stairs to the first floor. He could see his cubicle from the doorway, nestled between that of Steve Baggles and Katie Fisher's. Their cubicle walls coated with photos of loved ones and slogans about coffee and wine. His were empty, standard issue, everything organised and functional. The sound baffles hanging from the ceiling and the plush carpet tiles that lined the entire office made the silence deafening. Sen couldn't hear the wind now. He could barely hear his own footsteps. Instead, the roar of his heartbeat filled his ears. He moved to the far side of the floor and found the door to John's office. He cautiously knocked, almost frightened to break the silence. No answer. He tried again, this time a little louder. Still no reaction. He went for the handle, but the door was locked. What the hell is going on? Sen whispered to himself, shuddering. He was about to leave when he heard a faint noise from inside. He froze, ears straining to listen. A phone was ringing somewhere inside the room. A second later, his own mobile blasted the preset ringtone he had never bothered to change. Sen almost fell over in surprise, his heart bursting out of his chest. Instinctively, he accepted the call and put the phone to his ear. "Hello?" A strained croak escaped Sen's lips. "Hi, Sen. It's John. What's going on, buddy? You're not still in bed, are you?" John laughed. For just a brief moment, Sen forgot all the strangeness of that morning. John's jovial voice sending a wave of relief over him. "I'm in my office, pal. When you get here, just let yourself in." His last words seemed to cut instantly to silence. I'm already here, John." Sen tried to sound as casual as he could. No reply came. He reached for the handle again. This time the latch opened with ease. The door swung open, and he stepped through the threshold. The room was very dark, save for a cheap desk lamp at the far end, illuminating one corner with a sickly yellow glow. Someone was standing next to John's desk, landline receiver against their ear. It was the woman from the park. Her red jacket turned a rotten brown against the lamplight. Sen could only stare. He couldn't speak, nor could he move for paralyzing fear. Her jaw was fully open, drool dripping to the floor, her tongue pulled back and her eyes wide. She stood stock still, as though a waxwork.
Sen.
John's voice was beckoning from the mobile.
Come a little closer, Sen.
John's voice cracked and pulsed with static.
Sen, come closer.
The woman's jaw moved up and down in time with the words, her eyes fixed on Sen. Adrenaline pumped through Sen's body. He dropped his phone and backed up, not wanting to take his eyes away from the grotesque figure before him.
Sen, come here.
The voice from the mobile screamed at him, twisted, robotic, and definitely not John. Her jaw moved more sporadically, drool and foam dripping to the floor. He reached the doorway and backed into the main office. He finally turned and ran across the carpet tiles and past the cubicles.
Sen.
The terrible voice made the walls shake. He daren't look back, an awful creeping fear racing up his spine. Any second a cold hand might grip his shoulder and pull him back into that room. The panic increased in waves as he flew down the stairs. He wanted to close his eyes, but he knew she was right there, right behind him. If he turned and looked, she would have him. Out into the sunlight, out into the empty streets, he burst through the doors. His legs didn't stop moving until he was far across the street. Finally, he turned back to face the office. Nothing. No one was following him. He leaned against a tree and breathed deeply, his mouth dry. He felt a buzz from his pocket. He reached in and removed his mobile phone. The same phone he had dropped in John's office. He had no idea how it returned to him. Looking at the screen, he had 2 new text messages. From his mother. "Don't forget to wish your father a happy birthday today. Kiss, kiss, kiss." From John. "Hey bud, I need you to come to my office right now."